Hello everybody, it's Liam here, and today I'm going to be walking you through how to make a templated email sound like a human. I sent a million cold emails over the last year or so, and this is just going to be a quick walkthrough of the two tactics I'm using to basically make all my emails sound human. There's going to be examples, real world, and also, I don't say fictional, but examples from like CEOs, executives, etc. So let's get right into it. Pretty much the issue nowadays for a majority of emails is that you are sending to thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, like possibly. And the issue is you are in a one-to-one channel that isn't properly done out. And what I mean by that is you're speaking to someone on a one-to-one channel with email, and they know it's one-to-one channel, but you don't really process it as a one-to-one channel. But when you are running ads, right, and you make an ad to en masse to lots of different people, what that basically looks like is you make an ad that is specifically tailored to more people because it's broad and it uses broad language like if you are like this or we, or if you can tell I don't run ads, right? You can tell. But in an email, you need to put like you or like I, or you need to mention their specific industry, specific tailored terms like that. And you need to act as if when you are writing the email that you literally sat down and you wrote it at that exact second. And there are ways of doing this to make it templated, like really templated. So yeah, let me go into this here. So I have written this doc out, but I'm going to be riffing for some of it or a lot of it. I'm just going to move my head because my head's in the way. So the issue is you're sending hundreds of thousands of emails, completely automated, and there is basically a barrier between you and the person sending the email. Because if you sat down and you sat there and you were like, I am going to send an email to this person, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to do research on their LinkedIn, I'm going to do research on their site, what industry they're in, and I'm going to spend at least 10 minutes doing this. The email would not look like the piece of shit that you're sending out, right? Just to be frank, right? A lot of the stuff I'm seeing is terrible. Okay? But this is the idea behind this, right? I'm going to try to help you not do that. And what's the solution, right? The idea behind this document is to make your emails sound human. And there's a couple of tactics that we're basically, or like I'm basically currently implementing right now at this exact point in time to make sure that this doesn't happen. So, oh yeah, and what to know. Basically, sometimes well-formulated cold emails that are straight to the point sometimes outperform. Sometimes. Definitely depends. And that is why A-B testing will always be king. Full stop, bar none. Just A-B test, right? And you can see. And it will always be dependent on things like context, industry offer, social proofing, etc. So there's that. And then we're going to get into tactics now, okay? This is what you all wanted. So there's this thing called parenticles, okay? And you guys need to like pay attention because this is like massive and it can actually transform your emails because it transformed my emails. So there's this thing called a parenticle, and it's a basic part of the, well, it's like a rule, It's like a thing that people do in the English grammar, right? And most of you have probably never heard of it, so I'm just gonna like kind of dive into it and explain what I mean. And this is what a Google search threw up for me. Parenticles, also known as parenticle phrases or expressions, are words, phrases, or clauses that add extra but non-essential information to a sentence, often enclosed in a parentheses, dash, or commas. And this, my friend, is how you make an email sound human. Because the emails nowadays, and you are basically acting as a pattern interrupt, this is an email, right? Less than 50 words, or 50 to 70 words. Highlight a pain point, or basically with a structure of poke the bear question or a relevant touch point, offer / how to fix the problem, a social proofing, and a CTA. This works, okay? I've booked a lot of calls. This works. Trust me, this works. Okay? But it's like when you cook, God, I was gonna make a cheese toasty analogy. We're not gonna do that, right? Basically, when you cook something, right, and you add some spice on top, that's what this is. It just tastes better. All right, so this structure is proven, it works, but like people, look, we batch kind of everything together. So unless you have a really, really good offer, or if you have a really, really good like poke the bear question, or you're hitting on a serious pain point, then you will stand out, of course. But like the question is like if you have a basic email with a basic offer of like SEO or ads, like how do you make it stand out then? And this is the email without, so let me just do this. This is the email without parenticles, right? And I'm gonna not gaslight you. I won't show the second thing just so you guys can like stay and watch and whatever. But right, so email one without parenticles. Hey Tony, have you been looking into new ways of generating leads over the last few months? We've helped 3 marketing agencies like yourself book 17 meetings in the last 3 months using an outbound system. Worth exploring more. So this is a pretty general email. It looks kind of like it's well written, but it's also basic in a sense. But if we go to with parentheticals, and this is what you basically add on, right? So email to with parentheticals. Hey Tony, have you been looking into new ways of generating leads over the last few months? If you have, no one adds if you have, but you know what I mean? It's a parenthetical at the end, like if you have. We've helped 3 marketing agencies like yourself book 17 meetings with decision makers. This is a parenthetical. And theoretically, this is also a parenthetical because it's enclosed in brackets. But we're just gonna keep moving on. But you get the point, right? Using an outbound system that can contact a couple thousand people a month with no issue. Dash, comma, right? Dash, comma, dash, comma, dash, comma. Worth exploring more. If so, I can send over some deets. The idea is, right, you just sound like a human, a goddamn human, with these parentheticals and this like brackets and commas and dashes and em dashes and hyphens. There's a difference between those, by the way. If you've ever wondered how when ChatGPT makes an email, I'll just do it here, right? When ChatGPT makes oh my god, I've forgotten what the code is. I think it's 0156. That's not it. The em dash. Wait, I think it's 0151. Oh yeah, that's like the em dash, right? And there's a reason ChatGPT uses an em dash to break it up instead of a dash or a hyphen, because there's actually a difference in what they mean in like a sentence. You should look it up, right? And you should wonder why the AI is using it so much. But yeah, so there's this, and this is the idea where you want to basically structure in such a way where it just looks and sounds more human, right? And the difference is so obvious, like you'd be silly like to at least not try it once. So the additional like context gives it a human flair. And also just mid-roll text. There's a link in the description basically for all my best performing template scripts, clay tables, and also like a leads list. It's all free, so you can go have a look at it, but it's basically there to make you like me more. Moving on, right? Ugly text, right? This is the next segment of everything, right? Have you ever seen internal emails between C-suite executives? You need to look this up. It's so funny. It's actually so interesting. Like these guys are like making millions on millions, and they just don't care. Like they don't write perfect emails, or they don't even like try to. They just make sure it's like formal if it's on a B2B basis with someone that's not in the organization, and it gets enough it gets the point across with enough context. So a good example of this is looking up Steve Jobs leaked emails. So this is one from Adobe. And then this is Sergey Brin to his executive team about Steve Jobs. So I'm just going to move my head around. So Steve Jobs, right? I'm going to make myself just slightly smaller. Well, there we go. So Bruce, Adobe is recruiting from Apple. They have hired 1 person already and are calling lots more. I have a standing policy with our recruiters that we don't recruit from Adobe. It seems you have a different policy. One of us must change. Please let us know who. Steve. And other than being a complete badass, and he was a bit of a cunt, but whatever. Steve Jobs was obviously built Apple, and like if you look at the way he's writing it, right, it's not like, oh, I need to go to the next line to format it. Like there needs to be like a space, and he needs to read this, and it has to be this long, and then there's like a bit of like an F structure, and there's all this like bullshit that people go on about. Like, look, he just doesn't care, and like I understand this is Steve and all this stuff, right? But you need to understand the concept that like ugly text makes it look like it was written by a human. Like this specifically looks like it was written by a human. And then this one is Sergey Brin, right? So I got a call from Steve Jobs today, who was very agitated. It was about us recruiting from the Safari team. He was sure we were building a browser and we were trying to get the Safari team. He made various veiled threats, though I'm not too inclined to hold them against him too much, as he seems beside himself, as Eric would say. And he even used the parenthetical, as Eric would say. Eric Schmidt, right? And what I'm basically trying to get at is, this guy, so Sergey Brin here, is obviously sending to his internal exec team, and he isn't too stressed out about formatting and all that. But you need to look at how ugly it looks, and they just don't care. And it's like, you should incorporate at least some of that. Additionally, if you look at the subject lines, recruiting is like literally the most basic thing you could think of, and then irate call from Steve Jobs. So you're focused on formatting, and the lack of regard for general like convention, politeness, and formatting is kind of what we should be focusing on here. Is basically what I'm getting at. And I lean more towards Bruce since it's more formal and respectful, and it's like a B2B on an external B2B basis. And this is basically what the email looks like without ugly text. So it's like we looked at this already, and then this is with the ugly text with parentheticals, right? And it's like, hey Tony, have you been looking into generating leads over the last few months? If you are, and then there's no new line. Like this is the same email, and it's different with no new line. That's all it takes. We've helped remarketing agencies like yourself book 17 meetings with decision makers in the last 3 months, using an outbound system that can connect a couple thousand people per month with no issue. And if this was me, I would probably put a new line here like this. So now the CTA is like cleared off the rest of the line, and there's like the big chunk that looks like it's written by a human, and then like a spare CTA. So stick all this together, A/B test your emails, just fucking go into the field, right, and just go test it out, because I'm telling you now, this is one of the best ways of converting, and it just works. It just works. I've sent so many emails. This is something I realized over the last like 4 or 5 months, and when I say it converts, it converts. So I would try that. And otherwise, with that out of the way, I do run a cold email lead generation agency, as you can tell. If this is something you're interested in, there's a link in the description that you can click. It basically brings you to my landing page, and I will pitch you relentlessly about what I do. But look, I will pitch you, and if that's something you're into, you go have a look. I can probably generate you guys more leads. Otherwise, there's more stuff on my channel to watch. And if you like this video, drop a like, drop a sub, and a comment if there's anything else you guys would like me to cover. Otherwise, have a good day. See ya.